This is Lesson 6, Similarity, and Activity 4, Methods for Translations and Dilations. And in this activity, work in pairs, and each partner is going to show that triangle A, B, and C is similar to triangle D, E, F through either dilations and translations, or in some cases just a dilation. So partner A is going to get 5 cards to use and show that sequence, and partner B is going to get 5 different cards to use to show that sequence. The difference between the cards, partner A is going to use a scale factor of 3, and partner B is going to use a scale factor of 1/3. And the 3 different ways to do this, and there are several ways to approach these, but the basic idea is in one case use P as the center of dilation, A as the center of dilation in another case, and D as the center of dilation in the third case. So you're going to try to figure out how you can, 3 different ways, show that these 2 triangles are similar. Now in the cards there were 2 errors I found. I think these are errors. The teacher's materials doesn't help you out very much on this, but I couldn't see where these cards were used, and so I just made corrections to make them fit ways that I could see to solve the problem. And so I would take this card, it says translate from P to D, and I would change that P to A. So translate from A to D. And I think in this case, actually it turns out that you're changing both of them to read the same thing. This is partner B. Find this card, it says translate from D to P. P is just a point, so you're not going to translate anything to that point, or from that point for that matter. Translate from D to P and change it to translate from A to D. And I think it's, I don't know which one it is, but you're going to have 2 cards that read the same thing. So you could either just give 2 copies of that card or change this card to read the same. All right, so you have these 2 triangles. And one thing to focus on is you could translate using the center of dilation of P and translate this image to this image, or translate this image to this image. So let's look at that pair of translations first. So I'm going to give you the answers, and that's what I've been doing throughout all of these videos. My suggestion as a student is to go through the video, make sure that you understand what's going on, then turn off the video, and then do the activity on your own. See if you can repeat it, go through some of the discussion, have it with somebody else, or just have the discussion with yourself and see if you understand. If you don't understand, rewatch the video and keep trying. All right, so in one case, you can take the larger triangle and translate it, or dilate it actually is what I want to say, to the smaller triangle. And so that's P with the center of dilation, so you should label that. And each of these lengths is being reduced by how much, using a scale factor of what. So this length right here is what fraction of the whole length. And you can kind of see, you look at a rectangle here that's 1, 2, 3, 4 by 2. And so how many times can you do that? And I told you before, it's either a scale factor of 1/3 or a scale factor of 3. So you already know that there's a 3-fold difference in each of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So this length right here is 1/3 of the entire length. This length right here, if you did that same kind of counting, this would be a 4 by 4. And then from this point, 4 by 4. And then from this point, it'd be 4 by 4. So 3 times. So this length is 1/3 of this whole length. And again, this length is 1/3 of this whole length. This length is right on the line. It's a little bit easier. You could count, it has to be 12 units out this way. And this is only 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because 1/3 of 12 is 4. Or 12 divided by 3 is 4. The card that matches that for partner B, dilate using the center P and a scale factor of 1/3. So go through those steps and have that discussion and see if you understand. Now, how does that compare to another way that you could show that these two triangles are similar using P as the center of dilation? Well, instead of making this DEF smaller, you could make ABC larger. So that's going to use the center of dilation at P and a scale factor of what? Well, if the scale factor is 1/3 to go from here to here, to do the reverse, to do the opposite, you're going to use the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 1/3 is 3. So this now is a scale factor of 3 to go from this point to this point is 3 times. This point to this point is 3 times. And 3 times 4 is 12. We said that before. So the card that goes with this one is partner A. It says dilate using center P and a scale factor of 3. So those two are pairs, and so you look at them and see how they compare. All right, the next one. So now we're going to go to either A as a center of dilation or D as a center of dilation. So let's look at this one first. If you decide to translate A to D, so you move this triangle down to here. So now you can do this two ways. You can either make this triangle smaller or make this triangle larger. And there is some confusion, in my opinion, on what you use as the center of dilation. So let's look at this one. If you're dilating the smaller triangle to make it larger to match DEF, I think that it should say that the center of dilation is A, because you're just translating this point A down to here. You're not changing the point or anything. It's still point A. It's now just down here. And you're dilating triangle ABC with the center of dilation of A to make it larger. Now, sometimes it says the center of dilation of D. And in that case, let's see if this one says dilate center, using center D and scale factor 3. See, I think I should say dilate using center A and scale factor 3 because it's after the translation. So translate from A to D and then dilate using the center of A and a scale factor 3. But that option, that card is not given to you. So you can reason through and say, well, gee, then it has to be this card. Still think it's okay, but if you add the fact that you're dilating triangle ABC using center D, then I think it's clearer. So you might want to add this to it. I'm going to dilate triangle ABC using a center of dilation of D, and that makes more sense. Still, I still would be more comfortable if they said using a center of dilation of A. And what I'm doing right now is going through the kind of discussion that you should have. You know, what makes sense to you, what doesn't, how do you explain different things. And it's okay to have questions about what the teacher's materials tells you or the teacher, and question that and come up with some conversation to make yourself comfortable with the material. All right, the next one. So I shifted this down a little bit. I thought about this later. You don't really have to shift it down, but it goes off the grid if you dilate this image by a scale factor of 3. It goes off the grid. So to keep it on the grid, I just shifted this down 1 unit. So I wonder if they want the student to do this differently than how I started to do it. And again, you're going to have differences in how you look at these. So I decided to scale the smaller triangle ABC or dilate the smaller triangle ABC with the center of dilation of A and a scale factor of 3. So if you have a center of dilation of A and a scale factor of 3, this is the only one that you can dilate. You can't have a center of D and a dilation factor of a scale factor of 3 because this would take this to much larger off the page, and you don't want to go in that direction. So your choice, so once you dilate this, then translate A to D, and it will match. So the cards I think you should use on this are dilate using center A and a scale factor 3. So if you dilate using center A and a scale factor 3, now you could have used this card I think, for back here. Dilate using center A and a scale factor 3. So you could have used that card for here. And and again, it's not clear to me from this activity whether you can use the same card twice or not. So dilate using center A and a scale factor 3. So I did that, and then translate. And this is where you translate from A to D. So translate A to D. So I corrected this. You're not going to translate from P to D. Nothing's going to move from P to D. So this has to be a mistake. All right, so now for partner, I think these are the opposite ones now. All right, so this is partner B. So in this case, you're going to dilate the larger triangle, DEF, with a scale factor of 1/3. So you're going to make this length 1/3 the length of this, of DF. So this is a scale factor of 1/3. And the length of this side right here is 1/3 the length of DE. So if you just count, it's going to be 12 units again, and 1/3 of 12 are these 4 units. And you could count up to and over 4 3 times and get up to here. So you're scaling this back using a scale factor of 1/3, and then translate that to A. So you're translating D to A. So this one's pretty clear. The center of dilation is D, the scale factor is 1/3, and then you're translating this triangle, DEF, to A. So dilate using center D and a scale factor 1/3, translate from D to A. So that one's pretty clear. This next one, you're going to translate from A to D first, and then use a center of dilation. And this is where I have to see what this is in this problem. But they're mixing up, in my opinion, once again, mixing up either D or A as the center of dilation. I think in this case, if you translate A to D, and then you're going to dilate this image 1/3, you're going to use a center of dilation of D. So you're dilating DEF. So I think you should use a center of dilation of D. Let's see what they said to do, or what I thought they would say to do. All right, so I made a correction here. Translate from A to D. You're not going to translate from D to P. That doesn't make any sense. So translate from A to D, and then you dilate using center A. See, I think you should use center D, because it's DEF. But as long as you understand, it's that point right there. Dilate using center A and a scale factor of 1/3. And on this one, once again, I think if you add this additional point, that you're dilating triangle DEF using center A. So after this has been translated, you're using the center of dilations right here. It's going to make more sense to use the center D. All right, so that's it. So I would go through these, and they there's 3 dilations, translations for each partner, and watch the video, see if you understand it, then shut off the video and do it on your own. Now I put these cards and these triangles, the image of these triangles, into a Google Drive folder for you, so you can go there and get each of these copies, make copies of them, put them in Docere. If you want to do this in Docere, I did it all in Docere, or print them out and use them as paper and pencil. Okay, activity 6.4, lesson 6, activity 4, methods for translations and dilations.